Yo, it's Jared from Punch Therapy. Welcome to another boxing equipment review. Today we're going to be reviewing the Rival Mexican hand wraps. So they're going to come in a little plastic bag like this, guys. I know some other wraps come in like a nice box or something like that. So let's open these guys up. Let's get rid of that. And there's nothing like a brand new pair of wraps. It's like new socks or like a clean new white t-shirt. First look at these, I got the black ones. These are a 50-50 of polyester and nylon, I believe. And I got the 210s. So these are the longest ones that Rival makes, I believe. All right, let's try them on and see how they feel. Now, most hand wraps for boxing are the 180s. Anything short of that is more for, you know, women, or if you have really small hands, or for children. So one of the main reasons to get like the longest hand wraps is that you have more material to work with, just to give you more protection, especially if you're a pro fighter or you're a high-level amateur fighter. Obviously, the best hand wraps are the pro version with the gauze and the tape and all that stuff. But this is the next best thing. So you can really give yourself some good protection. And on some days, you guys know, like your wrist might be hurting more, or your knuckles, or you want a little bit more padding here and there. And with the longer wraps, you can do that. In another video too, I'm gonna do a hand wrap tutorial and try out a bunch of different ways to wrap your hands. Damn, so that is a lot of material to work with. Boom. All right, first impressions. Feels great, nice and light. Not that I've ran into any like heavy hand wraps or anything. And the material is 50-50. 50% nylon, 50% cotton. I know some companies do the rubber thing, and they got like the rubberized logo, kind of like the Winning boxing gloves that look pretty cool. But these ones are just the regular normal, and they got the logo stitched on. Kind of wish this thing wasn't here, but I guess you could cut that. Just kind of takes away from the look a little bit. Some of the wraps that have the rubberized logo, it probably adds to the weight a little bit, so I'm not sure if you would really notice that or not. And the Mexican hand wraps, I believe, are the stretchier version. They have a little bit of elasticity to them, I believe. I could be wrong about that though. I was always excited as a kid to get hand wraps. I still remember my first pair of hand wraps. They were the white Everlast ones, and obviously they weren't the long ones. Those are really hard to find back in the day. But as a kid, I was super excited to put them on. Didn't even know how to use them yet, but I would wrap my hands, walk around my house with them while I'm sitting watching TV. I'm wrapping them, unwrapping them, wrapping them again. And you felt like a real boxer once you got hand wraps. I don't know if that's just like a little kid thing, or if grown-ups who are new to boxing still feel that. But like even myself, I enjoy new hand wraps. I remember back in the day, I would just go up on YouTube and try different ways to wrap your hands. There's like a million different ways to wrap your hands. There's no like real right way, but like there probably is some wrong ways that don't feel good. And these Rival Mexican hand wraps, I'm pretty sure, are available worldwide. You can get them in Canada. They're Canadian made, or they're a Canadian company. I don't think they're Canadian made. Let's see if it says on here. It says they're made in Pakistan, which whatever, I don't know if that really matters to anybody nowadays, where stuff is made. So these hand wraps, you can get them from the Rival website, whether in the US, Canada. This video is not sponsored, by the way. Hopefully one day, Rival. Been wearing this stuff for a long time. But I think you can get these worldwide in a lot of places. For me, I got them at Clinch Fight Shop at Edmonton, which is an amazing fight shop. Shout out to Sunil, always helped me out and always giving me a good discount, and all my clients and fighters that I sent to him, and he takes care of me pretty good. So one of the main reasons I like Rival's hand wraps the most is they're accessible to me. I don't have to order them. I can go to my local fight shop, like I said, and just pick up a couple pair, or when I'm in a pinch, or one of my fighters, he's got a fight coming up and we want to fight with a new pair of hand wraps. Another thing too, like in Canada, at least in my experience, you're not allowed to wrap your hands like the pros, like with the gauze and the tape and all that stuff. I know in the States you are, which in my opinion is better, right? You're trying to protect your hands. In Canada, we're supposed to just use hand wraps. So I'll usually make most of my fighters get a new pair of hand wraps before their fight, just so they're clean, just so they're nice and new, and they're ironed out, and they're not all scrunched up and dirty or anything like that. So one of the things I noticed with some of the Rival hand wraps is sometimes there's a bit of an inconsistency to the thumb loop. Sometimes it'll be shorter or longer on one wrap. So you'll notice that you're like, how come on this one I get like 1.5 more rolls around the wrist, and then on the other one it's like leaving me a bit short, or it's just a little bit off. And I think that's just because of this. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. It's really not a big deal, but it's just something to watch out for if you start noticing. Or if you notice that like at the end of your wraps, you're like, how come it's just a little shorter? It's different than this one, right? And I wrap all my clients' hands, all my fighters' hands, I wrap them before we train. So I notice that a lot. But yeah, I've noticed on the Rivals that the Velcro is very good, very solid. I don't think I had a pair that's ever worn out for me. And same thing with the material. Like I've had wraps back in the day where I've never washed them and they've been good from Rival. So I have the 180 pair right here, and I've had these for about maybe 4 years now, and they're still solid. You know, you wash them once in a while and they're gonna hold up. One of the main reasons is to get new hand wraps is just because you want a new color or just a fresh pair, right? And they're not that expensive, so it's easy to pick up. You're at the store, you're online, you know, there's usually some deals going on. And hand wraps are essential to a fighter, right? You have to protect your hands. You know, sometimes guys will use these on the double end bag. They'll use a speed bag with them just to give them a little bit of cushion. Sometimes guys will even hit the heavy bag with these just to give themselves a bit of protection, and so they can feel the bag, you know. But sometimes you'll end up still scraping your knuckles. What else can we talk about hand wraps? So this is my first boxing review video, so I was like, I'm gonna start with what people would probably get when they're just getting into boxing. And the first thing you're probably gonna get is hand wraps. The only problem with doing a video on hand wraps, there's not that much to talk about. Which brings me to my next point. If you don't notice the hand wraps, like if you just put them on, you're like, yeah, they feel good. Like that's how they should feel, right? Like that's what it should be. If you notice your hand wraps, like, oh, they're a little itchy, or the material's not too stretchy and they get too tight, or like the Velcro unravels easy, or they just, you know, they don't really protect your hands, then you have a problem. But for the most part, if you don't notice them, they're probably fine. They're probably good. So that's what we're looking for. And because these are the 210 hand wraps, they're a lot longer. They're gonna give you a bit more protection. If you have small hands, I maybe wouldn't recommend them. Sometimes when you have too small hands, it's like a lot of material and they end up kind of bunched up, and it's a little bit too big and bulky and uncomfortable, and they don't really fit in the gloves the same. But if you're, you know, heavyweight, super heavyweight, or you just want more protection, you're a pro fighter, or you're a high level amateur, or you got, you know, you're a weekend warrior and you just want a bit more wrist protection, a bit more knuckle protection, and just over top protecting the metacarpals, then I would definitely suggest these for you. And if you take care of your hand wraps, you should get a lot of life out of them. What I normally do is after I'm done training, I take them off, I'll hang them up somewhere in the gym, on the bag, on a hook, just whatever, right? And I'll let them dry overnight or for a few hours at least, and then I will roll them up, okay? What you don't want to do is just leave them in your gym bag overnight and let them get all wet and stinky and moist and just get all crusty and all that stuff. In a future video, I'm going to show you guys a couple different ways that you could wrap your hands, and we'll test out some different techniques from some different fighters. So my final thoughts on the Rival 210 Mexican hand wraps: great price, good quality. Rival usually makes quality stuff for a decent price. Can't go wrong with these. Again, they're about 11 bucks in Canada and 10 bucks in America, and I'm sure everywhere else the price is comparable. But definitely the first thing, if you're new to boxing, you're just starting out, get you a pair of hand wraps, hop on YouTube, watch a couple videos, try out a couple different styles, see what's comfortable, see what works for you. Even right now, I'm not gonna work out, but I'm like, I feel good. I'm like, oh, I could do some shadow boxing. And you just feel like a real fighter when you have real hand wraps on. And again, these are comfortable. You can see that bar, right? Like that, like it's got a good chunk to it, nice and thick, almost again like a pro wrap. So if you got bigger hands, or you just want to add a bit more protection to your wrists, knuckles, metacarpals, and just keep your hands injury free, I definitely suggest picking up a pair of these longer wraps. So if you guys are interested in seeing more boxing equipment reviews, just drop me a comment on what you want to see. Again, I'm going to be starting with the basics, hand wraps, shoes, all that kind of stuff, and then getting into the gloves, the headgear, the groin guard, mouth guard, skipping ropes, and all the different boxing equipment and bags that we use. All right, guys, that's it. That's all. I'm Jared for Punch Therapy, and I'll see you in the next round.